I'm adding stuff to streams right now, everybody. I'm getting ready to go live at this exact moment. Oh, what's up, Edwards? That's my dude from Basic Training. Edwards, what's up, my man? All right, Popcorn, let me know your thoughts on this Dallas Cowboys game, quote-unquote game. It's kind of hard to have a game whenever you are just outclassed the entirety of it. There we go. What's going on, everybody? I see people tuned in right now on Instagram Live. I got a few people tuned in on YouTube, on Facebook. I'm about to go ahead and share a watch party on Facebook. So I'm just getting everything ready to go right now. What's up, Edwards? How you been, man? Like, I feel like I haven't seen you or like talked to you in forever. Like we just go to basic training together. You disappear, and now here you are all of a sudden. I gotta know what's going on, my dude. Augustine wants to be a part of my live. Augustine, that is not going to happen because it would only strictly be on Instagram and not on the rest of the stuff. Maybe we can coordinate something a little bit later, but not at this moment, my friend. I apologize for that. I really don't. Because I know all you're going to do is just hate on my Cowboys. All right, I'm getting the watch party and everything ready to share right now. I'm seeing it's not letting me share a watch party. All right, so if you're on Facebook, share a watch party. I'm not going to do any more than what I already have done, as I am just in Dallas Cowboy angst and sadness right now. My team is garbage, but it's all good. Augustine asking to be on the rest of the stuff. You want to be on this one? You got to pay to be on this one, my dude. It's that simple. I'm sorry. That's how it goes. None of this is free, except for the radio stuff. Actually, that might be free. You just got to actually be a part of something. And I don't want to hear it right now, Augustine. I really don't want to hear it. But, ladies and gentlemen, those of you tuned in right now, that was a hell of a catch I did to catch this cap in between my legs. It didn't fall on the ground. Look at that. Jim Beam, Devil's Cut, going to get me through this today. Glass into it. Yep. All right. So here we go. The Dallas Cowboys letting me down. My girl Michelle saying that it was a tough game, but at least we're watching the GOAT. I appreciate it. I appreciate the love. Thank you so much, Michelle. That's my girl right there. Those of you that don't know, her and Sal. I hope Sal better be watching this too. Augustine saying, even I dropped the cap. It must be something just going around with Dallas Cowboys fans right now. Saw Michael Gallup dropping stuff. CeeDee Lamb dropping stuff, literally everybody out there dropping stuff. So I may as well join the fracas and drop a bunch of crap too. The Dallas Cowboys, y'all are bad. There's nothing else to say about it. Like, they are bad. Dallas Cowboys fans like myself, you see the shrine I have behind me here. Dude, we are in some trouble. I see over here at Iverson's Ghost on the stream, the main stream over here on Instagram. I mean, I'm on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. We are all over the place. Iverson's Ghost asking no more Dalton optimism. I have faith in Dalton. I think Dalton did decently given what he had to work with. But dude, Andy Dalton can't make Zeke hold on to the ball. Like, it's really, that's like you're getting paid $50 million. Hold on to the ball. Like it ain't that hard. Like as a running back, you should be able to hold on to the ball. Like, that's the main thing that everyone talks about is like, oh, okay, well, you're running back, hold on to the ball, make it safe, do all that stuff. Zeke ain't doing it. Yes, Dalton had a bad interception in this one. I think it was 2 interceptions that he had overall. But whenever you become a one-sided team, what do you think is going to happen? Like, you have to drop back and pass. And it's not like his receivers were doing him any favors. So then he's got, his own apprehensions and stuff like that. But the real issue for the Dallas Cowboys isn't Andy Dalton. It's not even Zeke Elliott. It's that god-awful defense. They came in today averaging giving up 36 points a game. 36 points a game. You know how hard it is to increase your average whenever you average giving up 36 points a game? But hey, they did it today because they are absolutely horrible. Augustine Pimentel saying that one interception there was a bad pass interference. And yeah, like that one should have been called as a pass interference. But once again, these calls always happen all over the time. And yes, I got upset because I let my fanhood show here what was going on with the Dallas Cowboys because man, it just doesn't look good. My dude, Popcorn saying, "What the f do the Cowboys have to do to get a defense?" A lot of people aren't going to like this. A lot of people out there aren't going to like it. I feel weird having to say it myself. Um, Tank. It's that simple. I'll get down to that a little bit later. I've been a firm believer that the Dallas Cowboys, like, you cannot build a great team if all you constantly have is mediocre draft picks. Like, yes, the Dallas Cowboys were able to get that 4th overall pick, and they got Zeke Elliott. But outside of that, like, and we've seen it time and time again. Like, you don't draft a running back that high. Saquon Barkley's hurt right now because the lifespan right now is terrible for running backs. My dude Jaime Pinkman saying, "Showing your fanhood is fine. Each player has got to do their job. Cowboys forever." I agree with that 100%. But me being, in the job that I'm in, I'm not supposed to show my fandom, even though I do it quite regularly, as a matter of fact. Stephen Metaluda saying Zeke fumbled twice. Augustine saying no, even that I hate the Cowboys. That was clear as day, and that was a pass interference. And yeah, I agree. Like it was a pass interference, but that shouldn't have been the thing that did in the Dallas Cowboys. Like, their defense has to have some monicum of pride in there and actually stop something. Instead, they're just like literally, once again, the worst amount of points that the Dallas Cowboys have ever given up was 30.8 points a game, and that was in their inaugural season in 1960. And this was like a long time ago, 60 years ago, that they were that bad. The worst defense in the history of the NFL are the Baltimore Colts of 1983. And they only averaged giving up 31.5 points a game. The Dallas Cowboys are giving up 36 going into today, and they gave up 38 today. So that average is going to go up. You know how hard it is for an average of 36 points a game that you give up on defense to go up is? That means they have to score 5 touchdowns minimum each game and then 1 extra point or like 1 2-point conversion in there. Like, it is so difficult to give up that much points, yet the Dallas Cowboys find a way to keep doing it. I absolutely love it. Because like I said, I mean, I've said it a bunch of times. I have Coach H. Cano tuning in right here. 24 points off 4 turnovers and a 69-yard run to end the game. And Zach Martin most likely out next week. That's the big one. Because it looks like the Dallas Cowboys offensive line is just dropping like flies. Augustine saying that's the key. You got to have a little bit of pride, but also, why would you call man-to-man coverage with those wide receivers? Why not just go with zone combinations? They tried going with zone combinations. As a matter of fact, early in the game, I was driving home. I was listening to the Dallas Cowboys radio network. Shout out to my dude, Ari Temkin, who's doing the post game for them right now at 105.3 The Fan in Dallas. I was listening to that call. Brad Sham even asked during the call, how is Larry Fitzgerald that wide open? And I wanted to tweet out, because they're going up against a terrible defense in the Dallas Cowboys. And I've said it a bunch of times. I say this jokingly, and like, I want to take it back right now. If you're going to lose historic. But the Dallas Cowboys aren't just losing historic. They're like, the bar's down here, and they're like setting a new bar on what futility is for a football team. Our guy Jaime Pinkman saying, hey, I still will and always will root for my Socorro High School Bulldogs, even though I am the bad luck charm. I don't know if you're the bad luck charm. I think, they just might be. I want to say it was like my sophomore year or my freshman year was the last time that they had won like a district championship. And that was like the last of 13 straight that they had won. And it was glorious to actually have witnessed like whenever Socorro was good. And now they're losing historic because that's what I like. Coach Cano saying new defense averaging points per game is now 37. Oh, again, I like the whole, if you're going to lose historic, but my goodness, Popcorn saying that the Little Giants had a better D than Dallas did. Our guy Jaime Pinkman saying apples and oranges to me just win. I agree with that mindset. I believe that you need to find a way to win. I believe that the Dallas Cowboys are a better team than what they've been giving us right now. I want to give a shout out to our guy, Eduardo Ariano, who just tuned in right now as well on the Instagram live feed. Once again, thank you everyone who has tuned in on the various streams that we have going on right here for 3 and Out, coming to you live from my home because of COVID restrictions. There you go, Augustine. Call back to earlier today. And Jaime going on to say, he's not the bad luck charm. He is blessed. Hey, I agree, my man. Let's get out there, get some more Socorro games whenever they allow crowds and all that stuff back as well. Augustine going on to say, in one key play, they were playing man-to-man on Fitzgerald, and they were giving a cushion of 7 yards. He got 11 on the first down. So coaching has part to do with this. No, I agree 100%. Stephen Metaludis asking the loaded question of, do you fire the Dallas Cowboys head coach right now? No, it's way too early for that type of talk. No. The one thing is, and like, I will never be a person that says, blame it on the injuries or this or that or any of that other nonsense. That's just not me. That's not how I operate whenever it comes to the way that I take in football games and things of that nature. But what I do say is that you have to take into consideration the amount of injuries that the Dallas Cowboys have right now. 12 players on IR for the Dallas Cowboys going into this game. And now, more than likely, another was Zach Martin, because it's at least a week that Zach Martin's not going to be able to play. At minimum, a week that Zach Martin's not going to be able to play. So a lot of people need to take that into consideration whenever it comes to the Dallas Cowboys and what they've got going forward and all that good stuff. My dude Optimus Prime chiming in saying, we them boys 2-4 and still number 1 in the division. That right there says all you need to know about the NFC East. And I've said it a bunch of times. I sent it in a group text to my guy Brandon the Iceman Cone, Mondo the Monster Medina, and Sergio Robali. I've said it a bunch of times to them. The Cowboys can win this division going 6-10. They don't deserve to make the playoffs, but they can win the division by going 6-10, which is just insane to think about. That can really actually happen. Dan Popcorn and Stephen Metaludis asking as well, do they fire the defensive coordinator? And Popcorn asking, can we call Earl Thomas now? Yes and yes. I don't know why the Dallas Cowboys didn't jump on the opportunity to get Earl Thomas. Like, you would have thought the stars and everything aligned whenever Earl Thomas left Baltimore the way that he left Baltimore. And that, I want to say either that day or the next day, the Dallas Cowboys released Clinton Dix. So you would have expected, okay, well, things have aligned right now, and the Dallas Cowboys are going to go get their guy, Earl Thomas, who has always wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy. Say what you will about the way that Earl Thomas, had his unceremonious exit out of Baltimore. Nobody wants to get hit by a dude like Earl Thomas. It's that simple. You have to have somebody that scares you in your secondary or scares the opponent in your secondary in order to make it like a viable option for them to not throw passes that kill you the entire time, that gas you. Whenever we look at the Dallas Cowboys defensive line, you see a great defensive line there, at least on paper. But what attributes to a lot of sacks and what goes unnoticed in a lot of sacks, because all we do is we say, oh my goodness, look at the linebacker and the defensive line and this and that. What a lot of people need to take into account that some of those sacks, a vast majority of those sacks, are coverage sacks, because the secondary is so good at, okay, we'll keep these guys where we need to keep them for the 6 or 5 seconds or however long it takes for us to do that. That's something that goes unknown. If you have an Earl Thomas in there who gives you another guy right there for, your defensive purposes, it'll help out immensely. But the Dallas Cowboys don't have an Earl Thomas. They don't have a Clinton Dix. They let all that go for whatever reason. And yes, I know Awuzie is hurt. And we lost, I want to say it was Diggs or somebody like that, to a torn ACL. Well, the simple fact of the matter is like every team is going to have injuries. But there's still free agents out there that you can go get. And the Dallas Cowboys need to go do that right now. And I know, like, okay, COVID, all this and that, blah, 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 blah. They got to do what they got to do. There's people that they can get on the offensive line. There's people that they can get like on defense. Like, hell, if I'm the Dallas Cowboys right now, I start calling people about making trades to see what we can get. Because this season should have been another great season. Popcorn saying Diggs is still playing. I know there was somebody like I can't remember the name. I was doing research because I was looking for my show earlier today. Another topic I didn't get to. But I was doing research on my show earlier today to see the amount of people that have torn ACLs. 19 people in the NFL with torn ACLs. Taylor Lewan, the most recent one. To put that in perspective, you can add up the ruptured Achilles, the COVID-19 list, and the concussion list right now, and it equals 19. That goes on to say something about the preseason, the need for preseason, things of that nature. Dan Ornell saying Derrick Henry ended Earl Thomas. Dude is known for his coverage, not his tackling. The Dallas Cowboys can use anything. They could use someone that tackles or someone that covers, like literally anything. Dan Ornell is also going on to say the trades are so rare midseason in the NFL. I would think they're less likely during a pandemic. No, I was agreeing with that. I'm talking about in the offseason. And I'll get to that in just a little bit, Dan. Don't you worry. I will get to that in just a little bit. Stephen Metalou is asking, will the Dallas Cowboys win next Sunday versus the Washington football team? Football team. I am not going to say the other name there. Stephen Metaludis. And they should. The Dallas Cowboys are can you say the class of a division that's absolute dumpster juice? Like, can you say that? Like they're not as dumpster juicy as the rest of the dumpster that they're in. Like they're the top pile of the dumpster, and then the Eagles are like that kind of middle pile, and then the Washington football team and the Giants are like the ones that are just soaking in all that dumpster juice. Graphic, but it had to be said. My dude Popcorn saying, can we get the Sentinels O-line? What is Shane Falco doing right now? Once again, it ain't Dalton. Like, I think Dalton's going to be okay. Like, you saw a little bit of a rhythm going here with Dalton and Amari Cooper late in the game. Yes, I know it was garbage points, but those garbage points got me a couple of wins in fantasy. Coach Cano saying class, lowercase c, L-A-S-S, or lowercase c, L, and then A-S-S. Hey, I'm with it, man. I am 100% with it. Maybe I should get a shirt like that. Like the class of the NFC East. Oh, I like it. I don't know if I could use NFC East, though. Like, there's royalties and all that stuff. But we'll find something to do here, Coach Cano. Looking at the comments right now over on Instagram, my dude Dan Ornell saying, is the NFC East competing for the division championship or the number one pick? Both? Why not? And of course, my dude, Coach Cano, you will get whatever royalties go. I will say that. I do agree with you on that. Stephen Metalou is asking, who is the Dallas Cowboys backup quarterback? I saw him right now. I don't have the lineup right in front of me. Doesn't necessarily matter because Andy Dalton ain't hurt. And once again, this was not an Andy Dalton thing. A lot of times you can blame it on Andy Dalton. Today, you got to blame it on Zeke Elliott. Like, he's got to take a brunt of that and that horrible defense. Although I will say, like, now that I've kind of removed myself a little bit from it, you know, I'm not as angry as I was. I haven't even had a sip of my Jim Beam, so here we go. Oh, not as strong as I thought it would be. I like what Dallas has right now in a historic losing team. Like I said, I love the fact that if you lose historic. So I am here for it. Dallas Cowboys, please make me happy and lose historically with this team. Tank, and go from there. But like if you have to, assets need to start going. Dan Ornell saying the problem is definitely not the offense for my Dallas Cowboys. Dan Popcorn saying that the Cowboys need to get an offensive line. They are like the land of misfit toys. Danny 2Gs. Or Danny G2589 going on and saying, fire those cannons, go Bucks. Big win for the Bucks yesterday. My God, Tom Brady looked dreamy. Popcorn going on and saying the Dallas Cowboys' problems are the defensive backs and now the offensive line. I agree with that. Like there's a lot of issues that the Dallas Cowboys have right now. None of them more apparent than the defensive line, or not the defensive backfield, because with that defensive backfield is all kinds of liabilities. I mean, a halfway decent job could be done by like me and Danny and a bunch of other dudes. Like I can go out there, make all kinds of money, and give up touchdowns too. Dallas Cowboys, come pay me, please. But we'll see what they do going forward. I mentioned it a little bit earlier. Before I get into that, though, I just want to go over the game that happened earlier today. That was the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. Kansas City getting a 26-17 win, just your normal 26-point game for the Kansas City Chiefs. Very rainy day. Patrick Mahomes doing what Patrick Mahomes does, and that's just win. The Buffalo Bills, I know a lot of people are always like iffy with Josh Allen. I said this whenever the dude got drafted. I think Josh Allen is going to be like it was going to be Baker Mayfield and then Josh Allen. It might be Josh Allen number one. And Josh Allen has a lot of upside, man. Like people don't need to give up on Josh Allen as quick as they are. It was a rainy game for a guy that's a gunslinger. What do you think is going to happen? Well, that's the way it goes. Want to give a shout out to Roberto Ordonez tuning in right now as well. Steven Metalus asking who is number 20, the running back for Dallas Cowboys. That is Tony Pollard. You can also look up the Dallas Cowboys roster. Dan or David Popcorn saying, can we invest in learning what Miyagi did to Daniel? We can get the Cowboys back to the tip-top shape. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, we got to find some way to wax on and wax off. I'll let that marinate right there for you. But yeah, Josh Allen, yeah, he didn't have a great game. It was rainy. There was all kinds of weather, this and that, that and the other. And whenever you compare Josh Allen to Patrick Mahomes, of course, Patrick Mahomes is going to make everybody look bad. Patrick Mahomes one-on-one right now would make Tom Brady look bad, and Tom Brady has 6 rings he can fall back on. Like, Patrick Mahomes is going to make everybody look bad. Mahomes going 21-26 today for 225 yards, 2 touchdowns. Allen only threw for 122 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. The big story, though, was the Kansas City running game. Once again, a rainy game, so you want to get the ball going right there. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 161 yards rushing. No touchdowns, though, which kind of sucks for him. It's a lot of yards. My fantasy team getting helped out as well because I have Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, and I got 4 touchdowns for the both of them, so I'm happy with that right there. So that's the end of what I wanted to say about the other game, because I'm going to get back to the Dallas Cowboys and what they need to do going forward, because I did tell Dan Ornelas I do think the Dallas Cowboys need to trade, and I've been talking about that going forward. The Dallas Cowboys need to trade Zeke Elliott. They need to find some way to trade Zeke Elliott, because you can get any running back right now. We've seen it throughout the history of the NFL, or at least recent history in the NFL, where you can get just some dude off the street and he becomes a great running back, because that's what most of the running backs now are. That's why you don't draft running backs the way that the Dallas Cowboys did, the way that the Giants did. The rare one that actually pays off being drafted that high was Christian McCaffrey, and now he's getting his issues with injuries as well, because the shelf life of a running back just ain't that long, so it's not worth the risk, is not worth the reward in this one. Popcorn saying, do you consider Josh Allen and Derrick Henry to be MVP candidates? I consider Derrick Henry to be an MVP candidate. I don't know if Josh Allen is there yet. I think these last couple of games might have hurt his stock, but he's definitely in like the upper echelon category right now. Like, he's definitely trending up. Once again, Patrick Mahomes makes a lot of people look bad. Popcorn saying, trade Zeke GTFOH. My dude's mad at me, but hear me out on this. You find out whatever team, because you do this in the offseason, you find out whatever team is going to have the number 1 overall pick. You find a way to deliver a package to get that number 1 overall pick. And because of the uncertainty with Dak Prescott going forward, you go ahead and you draft yourself a quarterback out of Clemson who's really good. You do that. Popcorn saying I'm on crack. It might be the Jim Beam talking, my man. Once again, Jim Beam's Devil Cut or Devil's Cut. It's delicious. But no, like you have to look at the assets that you have available to you right now. And Zeke Elliott ain't doing what it is that you want Zeke Elliott to do. Rudy Salcido saying that we need to draft Sunshine. If you don't get that, you've never seen Remember the Titans, and we should not be friends. One of the few movies that I've seen. Stephen Metaluda saying, Mr. Tipton, World Series, we're not talking about that, my dude, so you can get that on out of here right now. We're on 3 and out. We're talking football. Football. And it ain't the devil. Popcorn saying that he would trade a wide receiver before you trade Zeke. But the question is, what is the game now? The game isn't a running game. The game isn't the way that it was whenever we were growing up, where you had guys like Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders out there doing what it is that they do best. You can get a running back literally anywhere. The trade value for Zeke isn't really going to be there. So you need to package that with like a first and a second round pick in order to get this. You just need to get that money off of your books so that way you can have enough money to get a defense. The game ain't the game that it was back in the day, my dude. I got nothing but love for you, but the game has evolved. Your wide receivers are much more important than what your running backs are. It's that simple. It really is that simple. I wouldn't trade any of the wide receivers the Dallas Cowboys have. And that, like, shoring up, getting rid of, like, Zeke, and let's say, like, you don't even go after the number 1 pick because, like, let's say Dalton is good enough to be there next year, and you're happy with the progress of Dak Prescott going forward. Then don't trade and get that quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, but trade and try to get some help on defense because right now Zeke Elliott ain't that guy. And we all know that window for the Dallas Cowboys is slowly starting to close, even though they are the class, as my guy Jaime would say, the Dallas Cowboys are still in first place. Somehow, some way. That garbage squad still in first place. I did see that stat. I will get to that stat here in just a little bit. My guy, Coach Cano, trust me, it is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. My dude, Jesse Carter over there in Virginia, asking me, what do I think the Dallas Cowboys need play action, or he thinks that the Dallas Cowboys need play action before Zeke becomes useful. I will say this about the way that the Dallas Cowboys need to run their offense. The Dallas Cowboys need to join the rest of the NFL in establishing the pass in order to establish the run. Growing up, and I know that's sacrilege for a lot of us growing up, but growing up it was you establish the run and then you get the pass. Well, now it ain't that way. And the reason why the Dallas Cowboys have come out to such slow starts is because what they try to do is establish Zeke Elliott. Well, Zeke Elliott ain't the dude that he was 2 years ago. There has been like a huge drop-off in Zeke Elliott's production and his value to the Dallas Cowboys. You need to, like, extend the ball down the field, especially if you're going to have a terrible defense like this team is going to have. You got to trade Zeke Elliott. You got to trade a first-round pick or a second-round pick and then try to get some help on defense. Or if you want to, shore up somebody on your offensive line, but then you're going to have a crowded line whenever you get back. I guess that's not a bad thing because the more depth you have at offensive line, the less problems like this you have protecting your quarterback. But my dude, Coach Cano, gave me the craziest stat that I've seen in quite some time. I actually did the math on this. It's on my phone, so I can't actually show it to you. Kyler Murray completed 37% of his passes today. Maybe 38 if you round up. 9 of 24. And the Cardinals scored 38 points to just beat the hell out of the Dallas Cowboys. 37% of his passes. To put that in perspective, 2 wide receivers had 4 catches for 156 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's what happened to the Dallas Cowboys today. Their defense played solid in the first quarter. They just melted down and allowed everybody to go right up the seams against them. And you can see that back-breaking moment in the second quarter right before the half where Murray was able to complete the long ball and say la vie. The rest was history. People have to think about that. If I'm not mistaken, it was a 0-0 game at the end of the first quarter. They scored 38 points in 3 quarters once they figured out the Dallas Cowboys defense. And you kind of felt like that was eventually going to happen. Like everyone was like, oh my goodness, the Dallas Cowboys are playing great right now on defense. And then they did what the Dallas Cowboys of 2020 are going to do. Popcorn saying Zeke doesn't have the O-line he had 2 years ago. No, he doesn't. But do you have the luxury of waiting for a guy who, once again, we've seen a steady drop-off? It is very, very, very apparent to people. Rudy Salcido saying, on the other hand, a running quarterback won't last long either. I agree with you on that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, Dak Prescott ain't a running quarterback. Like, yeah, Dak got hurt on that one run, but most of the frustrations that Dallas Cowboys have with a guy like Dak Prescott is a simple fact that he doesn't run. Like, he doesn't use that athletic ability whenever he has the ability to, because he's a pass-first guy, which is kind of what you need out of your quarterback. Steven Metaluda saying you cannot trade your best player unless you do the whole Walker trade again. But that's the thing, is Zeke isn't their best player. Your best player isn't dependent upon literally everything going right for him to be great. Their best player right now is still Dak Prescott. I'm not a huge Dak guy. Like, everyone who knows me knows I'm not a huge Dak guy. I have had my own issues with Dak because we all know who my quarterback is. Zeke Elliott is not your best player on the Dallas Cowboys. As a matter of fact, I would venture to say your best player right now are your two linebackers. And then maybe your receivers. I would put Amari Cooper up there, but the value that a receiver has far outweighs that of a running back. Pollard had just as good a game as Zeke Elliott did, minus the fumbles. And the fumbles are what really, really did it. My dude Jesse Carter saying Popcorn Zeke may be the quote-unquote best player right now, but the system is not in his favor. And I agree with that 100%. The Dallas Cowboys have a lot more questions right now than answers. And a lot of that, once again, has to do with the injuries and things of that nature. But how long can you realistically lean on that? How long can you say that? Popcorn saying linebackers, you mean Mr. Glass? Yeah. People right now would pay for Leighton Vander Esch. People right now would pay a special, like, if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I don't do it right now at all. I would never trade Jalen Smith. Like Jalen Smith is a game-changing guy, but that's what you have to do, is you have to get ahead of the curve before these guys start breaking apart. And this is an issue that Dan Ornelas and I kind of spoke about a couple of weeks ago as well. I want to say on a 3 and Out, whenever we were talking about the Dallas Cowboys and the issues that they have with Jerry Jones. And I think the issue with Jerry Jones is that he is loyal to certain players to a fault. And that comes with the way that he was overly loyal, or still is overly loyal, to a guy like Sean Lee. Sean Lee's been hurt this whole time. Like Sean Lee, you could have traded Sean Lee 4 or 5 years ago. It would have brought the Dallas Cowboys a lot, because Sean Lee was always hurt. It's not like he was bringing anything to the Dallas Cowboys. Leighton Vander Esch is still young, and a lot of his injuries haven't been like over the top, terrible, career threatening injuries or anything of that nature. It's just been a couple stingers. Yes, he had the neck issue last year, but it seems for all intents and purposes that he's gotten over that. The Dallas Cowboys right now, like, your running back isn't where you need to be dropping $50 million. Like you got a whole bunch of other holes on that team that you should drop all that money into, and it ain't at the running back position. That's the reason why, like, the NFL has such an issue with trying to get an agreement between the Players Association and all that, is a simple fact that it's not valuable for them to have running backs. Like, you can get all you need out of a running back for the first 3 years of their contract and not ever have to worry about paying them again. That's just the way that the game is. And that's why the Players Association and the owners are trying to have like this little debate that they have between, okay, well, do we pay our running backs like the first contract? Like, how do we do this? And the simple answer is you can't, because you don't know what you're going to get out of it. Coach Cano saying that Zeke's drop-off is directly related and correlated to a new contract. Zero coincidence. And we've seen that happen a lot too. Dudes get paid and they just ain't the same dude until a contract year comes up. That's why I'm a full believer that all NFL contracts should be fully guaranteed, but 1-year contracts. That's just me right now as well. Our dude, Coach Cano saying, keep in mind that Jerry passed on TJ Watt for Tarko Charlton. No longer in the league. But great name, man. Like, that's a great name. Thank God that Stephen Jones was able to convince Jerry Jones to draft Zach Martin and not Johnny Manziel. Like, thank God for that. Popcorn saying, if you traded Zeke, you are officially in rebuild mode. It would take 4 to 5 years to recover. I'm saying the Dallas Cowboys need to be in rebuild mode. The only way you can get better right now is by actually getting better picks and knowing what to do with those picks. The way that the Dallas Cowboys have drafted recently hasn't been great. You have been in this purgatory of 8-8, 9-7, 7-9 for the last 25 years. That's not getting you great draft picks. Like, once again, you have the outlier of Zeke Elliott at number 4. But once again, why would you draft a running back that high? Because the shelf life on a running back ain't that great. To me, the Dallas Cowboys need to do that. Like I would 100% say, okay, yeah, go ahead and rebuild. Because how quick can you rebuild? If you want to go the route that you want to go, Popcorn, let's trade Zeke Elliott. I would say let's trade Amari Cooper because he's, out of the other receivers, he's the one that's going to cost you the most money. And that's what you want to do, is you want to save up money so you can build what the Dallas Cowboys did prior to the Tony Romo injury, which was offensive line, decent, solid running back, solid quarterback, good receivers. Because that's how you need to build in the NFL. Let's face it. We just lost Travis Frederick. Tyron Smith ain't that young anymore. All the other guys like Ronald Leary and all these dudes are old as all hell too. Zach Martin's the only young one left. And you don't want to do to Zach Martin what the Cleveland Browns did to Joe Thomas and waste a Hall of Fame career. Get what you can assets-wise and move on. I would have said trade Dak. But no one's going to trade for a quarterback that just had his ankle literally on the ground in a million places. So the Dallas Cowboys have the advantage now with Dak. The Dallas Cowboys can go out and say, okay, Dak, well, here's this contract. Take it or leave it, because literally there's going to be no suitors for you right now. Ask Alex Smith. Because this game is very, very built upon the power being in the hands of the owners and the GMs. And the second you have an injury like that, no one knows how you're going to bounce back. Look how long it took Teddy Bridgewater to bounce back, and has Teddy actually bounced back? That's the main question right there. And how long are you going to wait for your quarterback to do this stuff? Boop1225 saying that Alex Smith is better than Dak. Ooh, I don't know about that. Not at least not Alex Smith right now. Like coming off that injury, 2 years removed. Alex Smith isn't even considered the best quarterback on his roster right now. That's why he's behind Kyle Allen. So I got a little bit of an issue with that. Jesse Carter saying, get a Speedy back and not lose first down. Look at their first down yards. That's how you can see the value. Zeke could be a third down and short back at best. And that's the thing that I think hurts the Dallas Cowboys. Is like, you look at the way that football has evolved. You can't just have one back anymore. You have to have two backs. Popcorn mad about that Alex Smith take. I kind of agree with you on that one. But like I said, you have to have two backs. You have to. The Dallas Cowboys have been an anomaly whenever they've succeeded with just one back. Because in 2014, it was off DeMarco Murray, and then like recently it's been all Zeke Elliott. But that's such an outlier now in today's NFL, because that's not how you get the most out of your backs. Look at what Cleveland is doing. And maybe Cleveland might be a bad example because they lost pretty bad to Pittsburgh yesterday. But look at what they did to the Dallas Cowboys, where you had Nick Chubb and you also had Kareem Hunt. That's two really, really good backs. Coach Cano saying there's no such thing as a multi-year rebuild in the NFL, and especially in the NFC East. But that's also the thing. Are you going to hang your hat on simply just winning the NFC East? A 7-9 season is the thing that gets you where you need to be. I don't know. I don't see how that's making you any better, because let's face it, you can win the NFC East all you want, but you're not going to make any noise in the playoffs. I mean, it's really that simple. Our dude Rudy Saucedo saying there is a quote unquote Moneyball type team within, or is there a Moneyball type team within the NFL? Do you need a franchise type player to succeed? I would say you do. You do. You need to have a good quarterback. You need to have decent receivers. Like, it's really that simple. Because you can look at like all the teams right now that are in the NFL that are successful. Kansas City, who do they have as their quarterback? Like, enough said. Buffalo, they're on the up and up, but it's because they got a guy like Stephon Diggs that helps out that quarterback that they have that's just got an absolute cannon. Our dude, Boop1225, man, if you could let me know your name, I want to give you a real name right here, man. Saying that Dak Prescott is just an athletic Jamarcus Russell. That's facts. I don't know about that, man. Jamarcus Russell would never be able to do some of the throws that Dak Prescott did and actually win games. Steven Metaludis asking a loaded question: will the Dallas Cowboys miss the playoffs in 2020? I don't think so. There's no way. That division would have to get so much better right now, and then that's that. Popcorn saying Miami could be considered a Moneyball team in the NFL. I guess so. Yeah, they do have a lot of cap space though, so it's going to be interesting to see how they go going forward. They got Fitzpatrick on a hell of a deal right now, and you talk about a great mentor to Tua Tagovailoa. So yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it is the Miami Dolphins right now because they're in a place where nobody thought they would be. So yeah, they're Oakland-ing the hell out of this season for the NFL. Once again, you're listening and tuned into 3 and Out right here, part of the Just the Tip network of shows that we're doing here. Mainly my way of just being, some guy in your face all the time. Boop1225 saying Zeke is on the Pablo Sandoval diet, going to eat his way out of this league. Man, you remember like whenever Zeke first got in, like he had like a nice six pack. He was showing that off all the time. And then like we saw in the first game of the season, like he hasn't shown his stomach since then. Maybe that's what it was. Like there's so many people that have just gotten in Zeke's head now about how he looked that day showing off his stomach because he looked a lot like me. I don't know if y'all see me, but your boy is thick with 2 C's. Steven Metaludis asking, will the Cowboys win or lose the wild card game in 2020? If the Dallas Cowboys, if any team in the NFC East makes the playoffs, they're losing the first round of the playoffs. Like it's really that simple because none of these teams are good. None of these teams are great. The Dallas Cowboys are the best team that's on the best team on paper whenever they're healthy, but they've got a lot of injuries that they're going to have to overcome, and that defense is just god awful. And I can't see them fixing that overnight. Like, yeah, the Earl Thomas thing I think would be a great idea, Popcorn. I agree with you on that. Hell, I'd say even get Ha Clinton Dix again. Like just get a couple of safeties there that could just be there to be there. Like that would be the thing. I would even venture to say like try to trade with Miami and get Nick Needham or something like that. Like the Dallas Cowboys need something, but they've got literally nothing on that defense, and that's what's going to do them in. And then you got to look at like the other teams out there. The fact that the Dallas Cowboys have the class offense in that division says something about that division. The Dallas Cowboys are like the team of that division, and that is not a good thing to hang your hat on if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan. Ugh. I mean, that even felt bad saying. But everybody, I want to thank you so much. I've been talking your ears off a little too long right here. Coach Cano saying the NFC East is looking into submitting a waiver and not submitting a division champ in 2020. They should be. They 100% should be. Like they are absolutely terrible. My dude Jesse Carter saying that he feels that the issue with Zeke is under Garrett with Zeke is under Garrett, Dak and Zeke were tandem threats. Now they are one-dimensional, period. I'll agree with that. The Dallas Cowboys have become very one-dimensional, but that's because that's the way the game is. And your best asset is your quarterback who gets the ball out. I'm guilty of this. I need to apologize before I go ahead and let everybody go. I thought that Andy Dalton would come in here and it'd just be business as usual because I was one of these people that took Dak Prescott for granted. And the simple fact is, Dak Prescott has a certain aura around him where he thinks that he can complete any pass possible. I don't know if that's going to come back following this injury because once you get hit like that, once you get hurt, you get what happens to like RG3 and the people like that. Dak Prescott is a special talent. He's a very special quarterback, and the Dallas Cowboys are lucky to have him. But until they actually shore up their offensive line and they shore up that defense, they're going to do to Dak Prescott what they did with Tony Romo, and that is waste a potential Hall of Fame quarterback. The only way that the Dallas Cowboys can grow right now is by trading Zeke Elliott. And then once again, what do you get out of him? Because running backs are a dime a dozen. Zeke ain't Derrick Henry. Zeke ain't Adrian Peterson. And let's think about this. When was the last time you saw a running back actually have that kind of durability? Because I guess if you want to put Frank Gore up there, but Frank Gore's the beneficiary of just being around long enough on bad enough teams that just need some guy to take up space. It sucks about a dude who's going to be number 2 all-time or number 3 all-time on the all-time rushing list because maybe I'm taking him for granted. But the simple fact is that you don't have those guys anymore. That's just not what this league is built on. You have to have that young athletic guy like a Christian McCaffrey who's a dual threat, and I don't know if that's what Zeke is. How many times have we seen this year Zeke drop passes? 4 fumbles on this season already. This team ain't good. And the only asset you have that you can actually get stuff for that wouldn't hurt your team in the long run is Zeke Elliott. So you got to find a way to get rid of it if you actually want to go ahead and be the team that goes forward in the future and all that stuff. But at what cost? So to me, if you're Dallas Cowboys, you want to keep it all together, tank. Tank for Trevor. It's really that simple. All right, everybody. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in to 3 and Out over here on the Just the Tip Family Network here. It's been a fun time. I'm going to drown my sorrows in some more Jim Beam. Also, I hope the Dodgers lose.